Well, welcome back to the kitchen. I am your host, Craig, on Fat Daddy Sports. And today we are taking a look at my rankings for the quarterback position for fantasy football. Quarterback can be one of the most frustrating or most rewarding positions in all of fantasy football. Either your guy is going off and everything seems perfect in the world, or you're really struggling to get those touchdowns and the points just aren't coming for your team. Today, we're going to take a look at my top 20 quarterbacks and kind of look at who I think you should be targeting in the draft, whether you should go early or you should wait and pick up a flyer at the end of your draft or in those later rounds. If I think you should stream quarterbacks, let's just jump into it, take a look. So up first, we're going to take a look at my rankings compared to the Sleeper ADP for the 2026 season. So right now, Josh Allen goes as the undisputed quarterback one on Sleeper and on most, basically every platform. And that really doesn't change for me. I think Josh Allen has proven it year after year that he is QB1 in fantasy football. That rushing upside, that is such a safe floor. And then obviously the passing touchdowns and the rushing touchdowns really provide a safe weekly floor. He does tend to have some dud games, but he makes up for it with some just bonkers games where he'll score 5 touchdowns and get you a lot of points. So Josh Allen, number one on my list and probably on almost everybody else's list. Coming in at quarterback number 2 this year is last year's quarterback number 2, Drake Maye in New England. Every part of me wants to take Drake Maye as number 1, but until he proves that he can do it, I'm going to keep Josh at number 1, and Drake is a close second. I think this kid is phenomenal. He proved it last year. I don't think that was a fluke. I think his rushing upside provides that safe floor. And now bringing in the addition of A.J. Brown to that wide receiver room, I think if you play in a league that gets bonus points for long touchdowns, you're going to get a lot of bonus points this year out of Drake Maye and A.J. Brown. I think that deep ball is going to be there all season long. Drake Maye very well could win the MVP this year. Would not surprise anybody. Probably should have won it last year. Stafford had a big year. Nonetheless, I think Drake Maye is a definite top candidate for that MVP pick this year and could be the number 1 overall quarterback in fantasy football. If you get him in, say, the 5th round, I think that's right around where his ADP is right now. I feel like that could be a steal of the draft. He is going to put up some big numbers this year for New England. The only hesitation I have with him is that New England's schedule this year is a little bit more difficult than it was last year. Last year, they had some cakewalks from week to week. This year, they're playing that first place schedule, and they are going to have some tougher matchups. We'll see right away, week 1 against Seattle, what Drake Maye and this offense is made of. I think Drake Maye is pretty safe there at that number 2 quarterback. If you don't get Josh Allen and you end up with Drake Maye, I don't think there's going to be a lot of separation between those two over the course of the season. Up next on my list is Jayden Daniels, quarterback for Washington. This one scares me a little bit. I'm not a big believer in the Washington offense right now. The addition of Stephon Diggs last week definitely brings Jayden Daniels up in my rankings. He was a little bit lower before that. I think Diggs is going to be big for that Washington offense. They did just lose left tackle Laramie Tunsil to an injury for some significant time. They haven't really said how long that'll be, but that'll be a big blow for that Washington offense. Currently, Jayden Daniels is going number 5 quarterback on Sleeper, so I have him a little bit higher than the consensus. I think that he is going to run the ball like crazy this year. We saw that in his rookie year, scored a lot of rushing touchdowns. Obviously, last year, a down year for him, only played in, I think, 4 complete games. Very banged up all year. That entire Washington team was banged up, kind of a throw it away season, if you will. All of his weapons were getting hurt. He got hurt. I think this year he's going to return to that rookie form. He's going to run the ball a lot this year. It's going to provide that safe floor. You'll see a theme with these top quarterbacks is that rushing floor is king in fantasy football for the quarterback position. Jayden Daniels is no stranger to that. I think he will have a safe floor rushing, and I think he's going to have quite a few passing touchdowns this year with that addition of Stephon Diggs. Before that, it made me a little bit nervous, but I'm a little bit more confident putting him at that number 3 position. Number 4 is a guy that does not provide rushing floor, and that is Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow, when healthy, is a top quarterback in the NFL. He's proven that. He's a top fantasy quarterback, even without that rushing upside. He has the ability to score a touchdown from anywhere on the field on any given play with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Also, the dump off to Chase Brown could go 90 yards on any given play. So I think Joe Burrow has a very safe floor just based on the weapons around him. He is my pick at quarterback 4. ADP Sleeper ADP, has him at quarterback 4. So I'm right there with them on that. Not a whole lot more to say about him. The next one is a big jump, currently going as quarterback number 9 on Sleeper, Justin Herbert. I have him as my quarterback 5. I think with the addition of Mike McDaniel as the offensive coordinator in Los Angeles here, I think that they brought in, some offensive line pieces. That offensive line is going to be better. I'm very, very high on this Chargers offense this year. And I know that people tend to have that take every single offseason, and it doesn't ever come to fruition. But this year, I think they got that offensive coordinator position right. I think Mike McDaniels is a huge hire for that Chargers offense. Justin Herbert makes that leap back up into the top quarterbacks of fantasy football again this year. I have him as number 5. Honestly, I could see him going as number 1. He could go anywhere in that top 5. I love his ability. I love his weapons around him. I think they get Ladd McConkey going again. I think Quentin Johnston comes onto the scene. And I think that running game is going to put them in a lot of positions to score a lot of touchdowns this year. So Justin Herbert, top 5 quarterback. You heard it here. Number 6, Lamar Jackson, who is currently going as the number 2 quarterback on Sleeper. I'm just a little worried with his rushing upside. We've seen him take a lot of hits, sustain some injuries. I think they're going to back down on that rushing a little bit this year. New play caller, new head coach there in Baltimore now. We'll see what that does. Obviously, Lamar has shown that he can pass the ball, but a lot of his value in the fantasy football world comes from those rushing stats. And I just think that they're going to dial that back just a little bit this year. I could be totally wrong. Lamar could go scorched earth and could be the number 1 quarterback this season, but I just think they're going to dial that running back a little bit, and his passing is not going to sustain what it needs to be in that top 5 picks. Moving on to quarterback 7, a quarterback that Sleeper currently has as QB 10. I have Dak Prescott, a guy who was in that top 10 last year, I believe top 5 last year, but just the weapons around him is what propels Dak up a little bit higher. Last year, Dak was quarterback 7. Quarterback 6, sorry. I do think that he will take a little bit of a step back just because I think that Dallas defense is a little bit better this year. I don't think he'll have to throw quite as much. But I do still think that Pickens and Lamb provide a safe floor week to week for Dak Prescott. And I think he's one of those prime candidates that if you wait on quarterback in the draft, you could get him late enough to where he's going to provide for you. I have him at quarterback 7. I think he's going around he's going as a quarterback 10. So probably right in that 9-10 range is where you could get Dak Prescott. I think he's a prime candidate to wait at quarterback and snag a guy like him. Or the next guy on the list, Trevor Lawrence at quarterback number 8. Trevor is currently going as quarterback 11. So those guys are back-to-back in the ADP, back-to-back in my list. I really like Liam Cohen's offense. I think that the Jaguars are going to maybe take another step this year. Brian Thomas had a down year last year, but he's going to be fine this year. That running game with Bashal Tutin and Chris Rodriguez, I think, is going to be good enough that they're going to be in a lot of positions for Trevor Lawrence to score some touchdowns. I think we'll see some more out of him with his legs this year, and I think he's another prime candidate to wait at the quarterback, take him or him or Prescott late, and snag your quarterback one as you stock up on the other positions earlier in the draft. Coming in at quarterback 9, a guy who comes down a little bit from last year. He is currently going as quarterback 8 on Sleeper ADP. I have Caleb Williams at quarterback 9. The Bears schedule this year, that first place schedule, really scares me. We've already seen Luther Burden being injured in camp. I get a weird feeling about that Bears offense, and I've said it on here before. I just am a little bit nervous there. I think Caleb's rushing can provide some stability there, but there's a lot of question marks for me with that Chicago team, and especially with that schedule. I'm bumping Caleb down just a little bit, but again, another guy that you could get late enough that it may not matter. You could probably wait on him a little bit. Speaking of waiting on a quarterback, you could get this guy in about the 14th round right now, and that is Kyler Murray, quarterback 10 on my list. He is currently going as quarterback 20 on Sleeper. The proof's in the pudding. When Kyler is in and healthy, he is a top 6 quarterback over the years. His rushing floor is through the roof. He has Justin Jefferson to throw to. He has Jordan Addison, Juwan Jennings, TJ Hawkinson. He has the weapons around him, not to mention Kevin O'Connell is a great quarterback coach and is going to get the most out of him. That one could backfire. There's a off chance that Kyler Murray doesn't get the start and that it's J.J. McCarthy. And I could be totally wrong on that, but I don't think that is going to happen. I think Kyler is the guy, and I think he is going to be a top 10 quarterback this year for fantasy football. Honestly, I wanted to take him a little bit higher, maybe up in that 6 to 8 range, but I'll stick with him at 10. I think that's a pretty safe floor. And when you're getting him in the 14th round, you're taking a flyer on a guy. If you could pair him with a guy like Dak Prescott and really wait on your 2 quarterbacks later in the draft, I think that is a perfect combo to have going into the season. Up next is quarterback 11 in Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, coming off of that knee injury. This is a guy who has never finished outside of the top 10 until the last 2 seasons. Last year obviously was hurt and didn't play the last couple of games, but he was on pace to be a top 10 quarterback. He was obviously down from what he was a few years ago as an elite fantasy option, but he's still going late enough in drafts that I think if you take him, he could provide some right around that 8 or 9 range quarterback. I don't see him up in the top 3 ever again, or anytime soon anyway. Obviously some question marks there in Kansas City. I'm a little higher as a Chiefs fan on some of these weapons than the masses are, but I think Patrick Mahomes at 11 is pretty safe. He is currently going as quarterback 12, so again, another guy that you could wait on. You pair him with somebody else and you don't need him for that first month of the season. He could prove to be a valuable quarterback going forward in the season for your team. Quarterback 12 is a guy in New York, Jackson Dart. It pains me to take Jackson Dart this low, currently going as quarterback 7 on Sleeper. I love Jackson Dart. I love the Giants offense. I love their weapons. I do not like Matt Nagy as the OC. I saw enough of him in Kansas City over the years. Obviously went to Chicago and failed there. I do not like Matt Nagy calling the plays. I think Jackson Dart is going to play a lot more under center this year, and I don't think that necessarily suits his game to the best of his ability. I think Malik Neighbors is going to slowly ramp up as the season goes on, and it's hard for me to take Jackson Dart in that top 7. Does he have the talent? Absolutely. He could be quarterback number 1 if it was just a talent thing. But he comes in at quarterback number 12 for me. I'm just out on the other aspects of that offense or of the coaching staff. Scares me away too much for Jackson Dart this year. My number 13 quarterback is Brock Purdy, currently going as the 13th quarterback in Sleeper. Has the weapons, has the injuries around that 49ers team. We already see Ricky Pearsall on season-ending IR. The substation is real, I guess. I don't know what's going on. Mike Evans is already injured, and just injuries everywhere around that 49ers team all the time. But Brock Purdy, when he is in there and has his weapons, is a top quarterback. I'll stick with Purdy. He's a perfect candidate to pair with somebody else and have two quarterbacks that you can rotate based off of matchups. Number 14 is Baker Mayfield. I'm a little bit higher than consensus. They have him at 19 right now on Sleeper. I think Baker, in a contract year where he has vocally said that he is very hurt by the Buccaneers' offers or lack thereof offers, I think that Baker's going to go out and try to shock the world, and that is typically when Baker plays his best. I really like Baker this year. Not quite enough to move him up into that top 10, but I could see him breaking the top 10. I could see him, in that 8 to 12 range. I have him at 14 again. I just think that he's got some weapons around him. I think that in that division, he could put up some numbers just because historically that NFC South is always a shootout every single week. I think Baker could have a big year this year. Emeka Egbuka broke onto the scene last year. I think he's going to have a big year. And I think Chris Godwin, coming back from injury, another year removed from that, I think he is going to show that he still has some in the tank. I think the Buccaneers offense could be pretty good this year, and Baker could have a big year. Quarterback number 15 is a guy who is currently going as the 15th quarterback on Sleeper, and that is Bo Nix. Like Bo Nix's talent, not the biggest fan of Sean Payton's offenses always. I think for a football standpoint, they're good. For fantasy standpoints, not always the best. We saw that with Drew Brees. I mean, he supported Michael Thomas over the years as a top wide receiver, but Drew was not always the top guy. He obviously had a lot less rushing upside than Bo Nix. But Bo, coming off of that ankle injury in the playoffs last year, I think is maybe going to have a little bit of a slow start. And I just think that offense kind of sputters out. They were one of the lower teams in points scored last year, touchdown scored. So I'm taking Bo Nix a little bit lower. Obviously, they brought in Jalen Waddle this offseason. That should help them out. But I'm still not fully sold on the Broncos offense, especially playing that number one schedule now. I'm going to keep him right at 15. The next guy on this list is maybe somebody that you've been waiting for me to say, and I'm pretty low on him this year. He is currently going as quarterback 6 on Sleeper. I have him at quarterback 16, and that is Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. I think losing A.J. Brown is big for that Eagles offense. Obviously, new OC there. I just don't get good vibes out of Philadelphia this year. Devonta Smith is already banged up. Mekhi Lemon is already banged up. I just am a little worried about Jalen Hurts this season. I think that whole offense is going to struggle this year. We've seen it time and time again with new OCs in Philadelphia. It doesn't always mesh, and Jalen Hurts has some down seasons. Really, he's had, 2 top 3 seasons, and outside of that, he's been around quarterback 8, quarterback 10. So I don't think that 16 is too far-fetched, especially if those tush-push numbers do come down a little bit this year. Saquon Barkley gets some more work around the goal line, which I don't know why they would necessarily switch that. They've obviously had good success with Jalen Hurts, but if it does, I think that's going to bring his total. I know it's going to bring his total down big time. I just don't see Jalen Hurts having a huge year this year, and I think he falls quite a few spots behind some of these other guys that are throwing the football a lot more touchdowns. I just see him coming down a little bit. Number 17, and he could even jump up to 16 over top of Jalen Hurts, but I have Jared Goff there. He is currently going as quarterback 16 on Sleeper, so I'm one spot below ADP, and it's really just the rushing upside for Goff. He doesn't run a lot. He obviously has a phenomenal offense that scores a lot of points, but I think a lot of that is going to be done on the ground this year with Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't know how many touchdowns Goff's going to have this year, and so I'll keep him down there at 17. Would love to move him up inside the top, 12 or 14. I just, without that rushing upside, I don't think I can move him up at all. A guy that does have some rushing upside that I have probably too low I wanted to move him up higher. I just couldn't figure out where to put him because I think the weapons around him are not very good at all. And that's Malik Willis, currently going as quarterback 18 on Sleeper. I have him as 18, but I want him higher. I think his rushing floor is going to be crazy good. This is a guy that you could get late in your draft for free, and maybe, depending on the draft, you could pick him up after the draft for absolutely free. I think his weekly rushing floor is going to be so safe that if he throws, 2 touchdowns in a week, it's going to be big numbers for Malik Willis. So he's a guy that I could see, just making his way into that top 8 number. And we look back at the end of the season and it seemed obvious at that point, but Malik Willis going to run the ball a lot. They're going to be behind a lot. He's going to have to throw a lot and be in throwing situations that could lead to more scrambling. I think Malik Willis is probably too low on my list at 18, but that's where I've got him. Right after him is Jordan Love in Green Bay, and Sleeper has him at 17. So I'm a little bit lower on him as well. That Green Bay team, I've talked about it on here. I get some weird feeling about that team. Seems like every year their wide receivers are hurt, and Jordan Love is hurt, and whoever is hurt. We'll see if they can fix that this year, but I'm just a little bit lower on the Packers this year. I think that they may struggle a little bit. That defense, until they can get Micah Parsons back, I think is going to struggle. And I'm really out on the Packers as a whole outside of Josh Jacobs. The pass catchers kind of scare me, and Jordan Love scares me a lot this year. And rounding out the top 20, a guy who was a top 3 quarterback last year and won the league MVP, it is Matthew Stafford. Take a look real quick at Matthew Stafford's numbers. So Matthew Stafford last year was quarterback 3. Before that, quarterback 19, quarterback 15, quarterback 32 in a season where he only played 9 games. Quarterback 5, 15, 29. He only played 8 games, but quarterback 19. So he's typically right around that, quarterback 15 to 17 range. He's had some outlier years on there. In 2021, he was quarterback 5, and obviously last year, quarterback 3. But you look at his point totals last year, he scored 136 more points last year than he did the year prior. On 80 more attempts, threw 26 more touchdowns last year, a lot to Davante Adams, and obviously Adams is still there this year. Obviously that connection could continue to build, but I do think that Los Angeles, that number comes back down a little bit for Stafford. It comes back to the average. I think they're going to run it a lot more with Kyren Williams and Blake Corum. His touchdown number could still be up there because when they get to the red zone, why not throw it to Puka? Why not throw it to Davante Adams? I just think that his overall attempts and his overall completions and yardage and everything is going to come down. I mean, how does it not? The guy is 38 years old, coming off of an MVP season in which he threw the ball a ton. I just think that to expect that this year is going to be a far cry. I don't see him being a top 10 quarterback or top 12 quarterback. And I have him down at quarterback 20. That may be too low just based on the weapons of that Los Angeles offense. I just can't imagine putting him any higher without any rushing upside and a lot of touchdown upside. So I'll keep him down at 20, but I want to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments. Who did I miss on? Who did I get spot on? Who would you rather have up or down? Let me know down in the comments, and I look forward to reading them, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.